Pastor, let me ask you a question. When you hear the word fundraising, what feelings does that invoke? Excitement? Anxiety? Fear? For me, it was fear when I started out in the ministry. Because you see, with all my years of training as a pastor, I'd never been taught how to do fundraising. And it was only until after a few years of ministry that I began to realize that I needed to raise funds in order to accomplish certain goals that the churches wanted to reach. When I consider this, I believe that every pastor who has a growing church or a church with plans for growth will need to raise funds. So the bottom line question is this: how do you do it? Let me suggest 3 keys to fundraising, which I feel are essential in order to develop the funds that you need for any given project. Now keep in mind, before I explain those keys, you will already have clearly established vision of what the church wants to do. And then also follow through on that by establishing a goal of how much money you need to raise. Now keep in mind, when you establish that goal, you'll have to also have divided that goal into a pyramid, a fundraising pyramid, for which you will divide into 3 categories: large gifts, medium gifts, and small gifts. Once you've established that pyramid, that's when you can establish these 3 keys. And let me explain what those keys are. The first one, tell a great story. It's my own conviction that you can touch a person's pocketbook only after you've touched a person's heart. Remember that it's important to tell a story. Facts and figures may be very helpful in the presentation, but if you only do facts and figures, you probably won't be very successful. So tell a compelling story that illustrates the church's vision and which you will be able to share with them. It's important. A human interest story is probably the best story you can use. But keep in mind that when you tell a compelling story that's part of your illustration, chances are that you will grip that donor's heart and they'll buy into that vision. The second thing you'll want to do is to develop a list of donors. When you consider the list of donors, remember that you and your leadership team in your church have to be the first ones to buy into it by making a commitment. Develop a list of as many donors as possible who you think will be willing to give. And keep in mind that those donors don't have to be just within the church. They can also be people from outside the church who are linked to your cause and have an interest in what you do. When you develop that list, also keep in mind that the conference and the union can also be helpful to you. In our case here, our own union, we provide, for example, funds for special ministries for which a pastor can apply for. To see whether the conference or union can help you, feel free to call them. I'm sure they're willing to answer your questions. Then the third key I think is very essential, is keep the right frame of mind. It's the place where most people fail is in their own minds. If you go into this thinking that I'm not very good at asking for money, then you will dread fundraising. Remember this: God has given you a vision. He's giving you a vision. He's asking you to go forward in faith. Go forward in faith. So as you begin fundraising, refine your story. Refine your story. And pray that God will give you success in fundraising. Remember, the God who is able to multiply the loaves and fishes is also the one that can multiply your efforts. In summary, work through your plan with these simple keys and let the Holy Spirit lead you. And there's no doubt in my mind that God will give you all the resources that you need.